Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the King Leo pre-show. How are we doing tonight? How are we doing tonight? Hang on, did I get this right? Yeah, I got this right. Let me check the audio. Make sure it's okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the King Leo pre-show. How are we doing tonight? That's perfect. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome to the King Leo pre-show. I'm here. How you doing, J-Boss? Good evening. I wouldn't dare to be late to the only show that helps me actively understand real-life NPCs. No siree. You know who has a really good NPC breakdown, brother, is Schizo Dumps. Let me throw this link in here, man. I really like this channel. It's very long. It's a very long explanation. And I like this channel. I don't agree with everything he has to say, but he has some really cool breakdowns of some of the issues we live in. Let me send you this this thing here. Very, very good. Highly recommend this video, man. Talented guy. This is very interesting because he uses the MBTI, like the Myers-Briggs, to point out differences in terms of the way sensation versus intuition in the NPC versus non-NPCs. It's a really long video. It's like 90 minutes, dude, but it's worth watching for that. It's very, very good. How's everyone doing, man? I'm excited to talk about Gavin McInnes. I gotta say, I was actually a huge Gavin McInnes admirer for a long time, man. I was sad to see him go. You know, I don't know about the Proud Boy thing. I really don't. I've met some of the Proud Boys before because I told you I worked at a cigar shop and they would go to the cigar shop. And what's interesting is that I met Tario a few times and everything, and I didn't really understand why Gavin, I didn't look into it, but I always admired Gavin for his ability to look at culture and form it, where whatever issues he has, he started Vice, he invented hipsterism, he invented a whole bunch of crap. I'm not going to shade it. What would denying his influence on the culture be? And he also created the Proud Boys. All right, that's retarded if you join. That's really stupid. But I think he's an interesting guy. I really did think he was an interesting guy. And so I'm glad to see him back, although I am confused. How you doing, Iron Hammer? J-Boss says, I'll check it out. I like the MBTI, but some people try to refute it lately and end up proving it works just as well as Ocean /Big. Well, I think that Ocean is real too. The thing is, I think that these are like very interesting personality tests in the sense that they're not 100%. It's impossible to be 100% because it's not empirical. Empirical is the wrong word, but it's not measurable, right? But on a relative basis, I find them good. So Ocean, for example, I learned this from Richard Spencer, that conservatives rank significantly lower, self-identified conservatives than self-identified liberals on the openness end of Ocean. So I don't know if it's valid in a vacuum, but I do think in terms of contrasting people, it does have some value. Relativism is probably one of the best ways to do it. Iron Hammer says, I like his work in Liberia. He wasn't, because I know him pretty well. I think I read The Death of Cool in 2016. I definitely remember reading Tucker's book, which came out around that same time, but Death of Cool was older, and I think I read it, and he also had a documentary that I made. It was hard. I think I pirated it. I don't remember. But over the years, since he's popped up every once in a while on the forbidden side of the internet, I've watched his interviews. I'm very interested in how he's doing, So, but yeah, he was not involved on any of the Vice stuff where they had a camera. So I'm just bringing it up for that reason, because he said it repeatedly, How you doing, Eves? But I'm not correcting right now. I'm just letting you know, because a lot of people, he says it happens a lot where people come up to him and compliment him on the Vice stuff. And they're like, dude, I love the cannibal warlords of Liberia or the North Korea thing. He's like, I wasn't involved for that. But the thing is, I don't even think he recognizes how important he was for that, because he preferred print, but they would have never had the ability to do that without his input. And you can really see that if you read the early Vice issues that he was writing. Like, he used to have one where he would write about different, I think they used to photograph people in Brooklyn and stuff, like the loser of the week and stuff, and like Go and check. He wrote a really interesting article about cunnilingus. He also wrote one about, I think it was him, about living with a Puerto Rican family. So he is just very talented. It's 10 o'clock. Welcome to the King Leo Show, everyone. How's everyone doing tonight? Welcome, welcome, welcome. I meant to upgrade some other stuff today. Oh, that tie is uneven. Tie's uneven, but did not have time. As you can see, is this work? Eves, I don't think your chat came up here on the screen, but when it does, what I have done is that it's going to rotate the colors of people that are not VIP, which means like members on something, into different colors, but the members will get a yellow, like a royal yellow. So if it shows up, it'll do that. And also, I made it so it only does 3 at a time. It should do that. And if there's a super chat, it should be interesting what it does too. Yeah, Eves, I don't know why it didn't show up. That's weird. That's YouTube, man. I can't really do anything about it. All right. Let's get to the show. All right, yeah, let's get straight into the show. No plugs here. Let's just get into the show because we have a really long Piers watch. Where is it? Where is our title card? There we go. Thank you, Eves. I appreciate it. Yeah. No, I guess it gives you the yellow on the side. So I'll see if I can do that. That's pretty, that's kind of cool, but I like it to do the whole thing. All right. We have to get to Schizo Watch, dude. I want to start here. I want to start here with one of my least favorite people. I honestly, I would, if you didn't get canceled, I would call him the N-word. Where is it?
Say the N-word, go on.
I hate George Galloway. George Galloway is the biggest grifter, scammer, liar around. He is one of the worst people. And you know what bothers me is that any Baudrillardi and Baudrillardi's check-in will recognize is that he is a simulacrum of Jordan Peterson. He's saying the same thing now that it's acceptable. He's like the one liberal conservative. And it's the same thing. And it didn't work then, and it's not going to work now. That's what bothers me about it, is it didn't work back then. So why would it work? Let's see what he has to say about how you can fix your life. Let's listen to the genius George Galloway, who made his money by buying stocks cheap and lost $500,000 betting on Kamala Harris winning the election.
Mentor 2 or 3 young men at any given time. And these are young men that, quite frankly, need mentoring. They're struggling. Most of them might be still living at home. They're not. These aren't people who went to Brown and are working at Goldman Sachs. And so some more tactical things that I think serve as a reference point for how you succeed or how you make progress. The first thing I do, the first hack, is I say, unlock your phone, and I'm going to look at it. And there's a little bit of nervousness. So what I do to loosen them up or lubricate it is I say, okay, let me tell you 2 things. The first is I gamble. I don't gamble on FanDuel. I gamble with options. I know it's stupid. I know I'm going to lose money over the long term. I'm a smart guy. I love markets. But that dopa hit I get is too seductive.
Okay. He's relatable. He's lubricating us before he checks our phone by telling us that he's a gambler too. He just does it in the financial markets. Okay.
So I sell calls and puts. I consume porn. That's sort of not...
Okay. Thank you, George Galloway. Imagine if you're... Brother.
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
Imagine if you are a young man and George Galloway comes up to you and says, hey, let me see your phone. And you go, no. And he goes, don't worry, dude. I gamble and I watch porn too. How do you do, fellow kids? I can't do that.
You can't do it. It's disgusting.
And what? I didn't need that information. I didn't need it. I don't want to picture George Galloway gooning. What? Jordan Peterson, by the way, is he alive? Do we have any confirmation? I don't think so. May have had his faults, but at least Jordan Peterson was never like, yeah, I goon just like you. Because you know what? Now I want to know what kind of adult material George Galloway is watching. I'm very curious as to what. Now I need to know more information. Actually, Georgie, I want to know if look, if we need to be relatable. How am I? Maybe you're watching, like, I don't know, vanilla, boring something, and maybe over here I'm watching the most extreme, stepsister kind of related intercultural vomit, 2 girls 1 cup. So I have to know if that's, maybe I'm watching that even you, a fellow gooner, will look at and be horror. Oh my God. How do I not? You have to tell me what you're watching. We need to know what George Galloway is watching. BB Netanyahu, if you can hear me, please leak George Galloway's internet history. Please, I want to know. All right, let's continue. All right, perfect. Your second question from George Galloway, you're a young guy. No, second statement. Don't worry, I goon just like you.
That's an embarrassing thing to say at 61, but yeah, I still consume porn. But I tell them that, and it lubricates, or it makes them more comfortable. I open their phone. Everyone has an advantage. Most young men who are not excelling, if you will, by traditional Western capitalist standards, their advantage is capital, specifically their human capital. They have time. And within about 5 to 7 minutes, I can find 8 hours of time from TikTok, from X, from porn, from gambling sites.
How do you know? Also, this is where I'm confused, because maybe I'm just not a professional gooner. How do you know that they're watching adult videos? Because my understanding of how to act, maybe I'm a boomer here, isn't it you go on a browser on your phone and then you type in a website? I'm in Florida. It's illegal here. I don't know. I have no idea, and this is gross.
Brother, what's that? What's that, brother?
I can't goon, okay? In Florida, I can't goon. We don't have access to this stuff. But I'm just wondering, because maybe I'm also a freak. Maybe I'm a freak. Are there apps for these adult websites? Is there the Pornhub app or something? Are people downloading these apps? Because how else could he determine this? How else can you determine it? So I don't know how he is installed. George Galloway, you give him your phone, you are going to have fucking Pegasus installed. There's no way he could know. He's going to come in with Israeli spyware and take over your phone. That's what he's going to do. Pretty soon he's going to leak everything. You're going to end up like this.
That's right, run.
It's really, I've never heard this before. I always thought people just went to a website. Let's continue. What else? What else do you have to say, George?
From YouTube. I'm like, we're going to find 8 hours. You tell me we're going to reduce this 8 hours. And next week, I'm going to check. And we're going to reallocate that capital into 3 things. The first is we're going to get really fucking strong. I just think the best antidepressant is moving weights, building some bulk, or running far. I've jokingly said every man under the age of 30 should aspire to be able to walk into any room and know if shit got real, they could kill and eat everybody or outrun them. Like, there's different.
Now this is really something, because here, dude, the co-opting, were we right or were we right? The symbol. What is the difference between what you're saying and what Andrew Tate said 4 years ago, 5 years ago? The only difference is that Andrew Tate, for all his faults, did not look like a gay professor. And I'm not even saying that that's wrong. It's fine to be a gay. I like plenty of gay professors, but Andrew Tate at least looked like a caricature of masculinity. I don't believe you that when you were under 30, you could go into any room and kill and eat everyone. And honestly, when you say it, it's actually kind of gross and it's offensive. And when Andrew Tate says it, it may be juvenile, but it's somewhat charming. When you say it, it's weird. I want to call the HR department. I am disgusted with what you're saying. But when Andrew Tate says it, at least it has, something animalistic in it. This is just, let's continue. What else does Georgie have to tell us here? Thank you, Georgie.
Forms of fitness. You can be fast, you can be flexible, you can be strong, but there's no excuse. The male form is blessed with, more bone density, double twitch muscle, all the things you talk about, this incredible substance that pours over it called testosterone. You're going to look back when you're my age and think, why wasn't I just fast, sleek, a monster, just strong? So we're going to work out at least 3 times a week. The second thing is we got to make some money. And I want you to make money outside of your house. I don't care if you're a Lyft driver, TaskRabbiter, Panera's hiring people at $18 an hour, and only 1 out of 10 that accept the job actually show up the first day. So if you really make the effort, you can make decent money. And the great thing about
this is literally enemy advice. Once again, this is rape advice. This is do not do this. Do not look. I'll give you the real here. How you doing, Jen? How you doing? Thank you. I appreciate. I've always worn these glasses. I've always worn them. It's a postmodern show. We were always wearing them from the start. This is rape advice. Please don't join TaskRabbit and Lyft and Uber. If you can make money at your house instead of signing up for Uber, do that, because Uber is going to depreciate your vehicle, which is probably some shitbox, because all cars made after at least 2020 are shitboxes. They have some nice cool features, but they're shitboxes. I would tell you this. If you can do Uber Eats or something on your bicycle, why not? It's a free gym membership. You get paid for it. This is boomer slop. He's just saying Andrew Tate, Jordan Peterson, and Dave Ramsey boomer slop crap. This is crap. This person is a professor at NYU telling people to sign up for Lyft. This is slop. This is actually designed to destroy you. And he's saying for young men and young women, do not do this. Do not sign up for Lyft or Uber or any of this crap unless you're on your bicycle. The hell? If you can make money at home, make money at home. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with this man? This is the serpent in the garden. This is just, no, it's all going to be okay. And pretty soon you end up dead.
Some of them going to sleep for God.
This is actually what's it called? It's passive intrasexual competition, where Scott Galloway wants to get all of the young women, so he's going to tell you to go through a humiliation ritual so that you can aspire to get, but meanwhile, he's cleaning up. That's the only explanation I have for this, because this advice is so bad that, okay, No, Jen, I'm just kidding. This is the first time with the glasses, but don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
getting a taste for the flesh of money is you start learning how to make more money. If you want to make a lot of money, unless you're smart enough to be born to rich parents, start off by making a little bit of money, and you'll start to figure out capitalism, right? And the final thing is, at least 3 times a month, we're going to put ourselves in a group sitting where we are trying to achieve something great in the agency of others, a nonprofit, a church group, a sports league, a riding club. And then the second phase of that is we're going to do something what I call is the approach. Hey man, do you want to go watch the Jets game, right? An expression of friendship. And then if you're really comfortable.
Firstly, the secular, thank you, Jen, for joining the membership. Jen, your name is going to be in gold by the next one. Do we have you already here? No, because it's for the membership. So you will be there. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. This is really something. Oh, the initiated, 2 for that. Thank you, Jen. I appreciate that. You get access. I guess now I have to upload the King Leo Movie Club to full in YouTube also, because I was just doing it for Patreon. If you go on Patreon, Jen, by the way, it's going to be cheaper. It's not, I think the initiated is $10 a month. On Patreon, it's $5 a month, and you get everything. And it is actually a little bit better for me. So if you want to do it on Patreon, do whatever you need. But this is just, but thank you again, Jen. I appreciate it. This is secular Christianity. This is Abrahamic thinking. But when you see a secular person explain it, that you should go to a church group for community, George Galloway, why aren't you? Because you don't go. I know you don't go. I know you don't go. So you're going to say, oh, go to the soup kitchen or a nonprofit. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? To go help a nonprofit that is a tax write-off or a corporation? I do things, by the way, no good deed. No good deed. No good deed. Absolutely not. But it's just fucking sick. It's sick behavior. And this thing of the approach, now that I do agree with. You do need to invite people out. We need to get past this thing where people are like, is it gay if I ask my buddy? Is it gay? No, it's not gay. Just go hang out with people. Why not? Go hang out. Go hang out. But the other stuff, just slop. Let's finish this here.
An expression of romantic interest while making them feel safe. Would you like to grab a coffee sometime? And this is the goal. The goal is no, because you're going to get no's. And then I'm going to call you after you've made the approach. You're going to text me, I did an approach. Did you get a no? Yeah, I got a no. That's exactly the point. That's the goal. Because everyone you admire, everyone you think has killed it, the only thing I can guarantee you is there were a shit ton of no's. And getting to one of the top 10 podcasts in the world, getting to a person as a partner who's higher character and hotter than you, getting to make more money than you would have ever guessed that person would have made. The only thing that got them.
This, and I have to cite someone who people won't like, Peter Thiel. This attitude here is pure mind virus crap. This fetishization of failure, and Peter Thiel called it out. He said, in Peter Thiel fashion, push his boyfriend out of window. No, I'm kidding. Obviously, that's alleged. That's not real. That's a joke. That part is scripted. But Peter Thiel said, we need to stop fetishizing failure and rejection. We really do. No, the goal is the goal. The goal is not to be rejected. That is not the case. The goal can be learning, and rejection is a part of it. But I have heard this my whole life. This failure is the goal. Failure, you should aspire to fail more. Failing is good. No, it's not. And I think it's about time that people start really appreciating and saying, you know what? It's not actually cool. It's not cool to fail. It is not cool to fail. It's not. And it sucks. And sometimes it's a part of the process. But this cope is killing people. You know what's happened to a lot of people in life? No joke. I'm not even fucking with you. They failed 1,000,000 times. And then they died during 9/11. That happened to a lot of people. They tried to get the job they wanted. They couldn't do it. They tried first, they tried to get an A on that one test so they could have the GPA to get to Harvard. They got an F. Then they went to their backup school and applied. I don't know, Stuyvesant. They got rejected. They went to the community college. They approached a young girl they thought was beautiful, or a young transgender woman or a man. Who cares? And they said no. And then they were single, and they were 40. And they decided to get a cat because they were lonely. And the cat died. And then they got a car and they got hit on the first day leaving the dealership by a 16-wheel trucker. But they survived. Now they just have a medical bill that they'll never pay off. And then one day, one Manhattan day, after all that failure, while they're about to walk into their shift at the Dwayne Reed, at 45, Muhammad Atta crashes a plane into a building and they die. That can happen to you. That can happen to you. You don't, and you end up like this.
That's right, bro.
That can happen to you. Stop with this crap. These are all rules made by other people that are not smarter than you. A lot of people have never failed. A lot of people bought one lottery ticket and got rich. And what are we supposed to say to that? Oh, you didn't do it right. You didn't do it right. I'm sorry, dude. I hate this fetishization of failure. Be bold. Be able to admit that failure is not the goal. The goal is something else. And maybe you won't achieve it. And trying is not a victory, but at least it's not the pathetic cope of failure is good. What is this? 1984? Disgusting. How you doing, FF Hamilton? I haven't seen you before. They must be recruiting for more gay prawn. Hey, it could be that. Yeah, and Jen says, I'm too competitive to get used to failing. I have goals. Exactly. And this is just enemy advice. Like, this is really advice to hurt young people. There's no other explanation. All right, let's move on. We have to look at this in a bit, all right? First, I need to show you this. This is the newest campaign. Eve says, true. Failing materially can suck sometimes. You're only talking about materially, right? I mean, I think failure, yeah, if you have more of a stoic approach or something, failure is never, I mean, sometimes you fail and you win. And sometimes people win and they fail. There's the Pyrrhic victory, right? But I'm just saying, if Galloway here is saying that you, in getting rejected by a young woman or a young man, you have succeeded because you're going to be rejected 1,000,000 times, that is not true. That is cope. I don't like cope. That's what I'm saying is the cope is that the goal is the failure. That is not the goal. And you can say failure is part of attaining the goal, but especially these tech freaks like George Galloway, because he's adjacent to that. He talks to Kara Swisher, or whatever the fuck her name is. They love to say failure in itself is the goal. And Peter Thiel, who's smarter than me, he's richer than me, has a lot of problems. You know, he's with Palantir. He himself has said that this is a poisonous attitude that has led to a bunch of bullshit. It is not good to fail. It is not. And I don't think it's worth coping. You know, it's not worth coping. And you can learn from failure, absolutely, but don't tell me that failure was the goal. You know, that's my issue. That's my issue. Thank you, VBS. I haven't seen you before. I agree. J Boss says fail and win equals Peter principle. Win and fail is Pyrrhic victory. Yes, exactly. Like, there are Pyrrhic victories. That happens a lot. You see it all the time. But I don't think most of us have that issue these days. That's going to be like Carl Icahn level shit. Let's check out the latest candidate in Los Angeles for mayor.
This is where mayor.
If you're new here, like, comment, and subscribe, by the way. Helps the channel grow. Consider joining us on Patreon, on YouTube, etc., etc.
This is where Mayor Bass lives. You notice something? Or here, where Nithya Raman's $3 million mansion sits. They don't have to live in the mess they've created where you live. This is where I live. They let my home burn down. I know what the consequences of failed leadership are. That's why I'm running for mayor. For my sons and the rest of us Angelinos that want to stop these corrupt politicians from destroying our city. We are going to get the golden age of Los Angeles back.
I'm going to be completely real with you. This is actually the first politician that I've seen who is trying to somewhat copy Zoran, where I go, no, this guy is inspired by Zoran, but he's giving it his own twist. And I really do respect this. I really respect this quite a bit. This is, listen, this is very LA. This is what I like about it. Where Zoran has inspired a bunch of imitating retards, man. Just people who imitate, who cannot, they're not capable of greatness.
You fat, you stink, and you in my country. I'm the top. You can't live in your own country. You're a monkey in your country.
We saw that guy running in Toronto. We saw Omar Fateh. These guys who think, oh, if I edit it right, I'll win the race. No, that's not how it works, big guy. Okay? This here is someone being inspired. This is partially some theft, of course, as you'd expect. But this is very LA. I mean, and this is a conservative. I have to give an apology. Normally, I would say this about conservatives.
Conservatives are the worst. You cannot work with them. You have to be in opposition to them. You have to oppose them constantly, even when they sound like you, especially when they sound like you. And you need to deplatform conservatives.
But in this case, it took a conservative to put his own spin on it. I never thought we would see. I mean, watch this without audio. This is clearly, there is some sort. I don't think he did apply a sepia filter. And that's why it looks a little bit like, you know, when the Mexico filter in movies. But these moving shots, this bigger aspect ratio, longer aspect ratio, this looks like a movie shot in Los Angeles, like Drive. Because when you looked at Zoran's ads, they had a Woody Allen, a New York element to them, a New York City element. This ad here is at least quintessentially Los Angeles. I really do respect it. And the other aspect is the amateur quality of it actually gives it charm. Also, look at this non-amateur quality. A gimbal, rule of thirds, tracking shot. This is a dolly shot, actually. This is a dolly shot. This is not cheap. This is hard to do. You have to either have a Ronin and you're walking really well, or a cart. That's expensive. You're putting money into it. The shadow's not great, the sun, but whatever. We're doing our best. Good editing, interesting editing. The drone shot's not perfect. I'm going to assume this is an older DJI Mini because we see the corruption of the image. And even in its failure, we're talking about failure, this little graphic here is probably done in After Effects. Maybe even done through Fiverr, like some guy in Pakistan made it for him. But it has personality. It is quaint. It's interesting. It looks cool. It actually, and look, they thought about it. The sun is in the back instead of these idiots like Omar Fateh who are shooting with the sun in the back, or Kamala Harris, and you can't see them. They're using it. It's leaning into the text. I mean, this is at least an attempt to do something unique within the new model. Okay, mad respect. I didn't know conservatives had it in them. Mad respect. Seriously, man, this is at least fresh. It's fresh. And in this day and age, aesthetics is what we can hope for. Basic, fresh, spent some money, spent some time, looks presentable. Mad respect. Let's continue. I need to show you this here. This is Erica Kirk. We have to check in on Erica Kirk. Our girl, Erica, what is she doing here? What is she doing? Last we saw her, she was crying, she was leaving the White House Correspondents' Center. Like this?
That's right, run.
I can't wait for Candace to make fun of it. It's going to be very funny. Go home then. Today, she comes out. Brother, you know who this is, right? Like, this is Sarah Connor. She's dressed as Sarah Connor from the Terminator movie. She's dressed as Sarah Connor. Yeah, hang on. I mean, look at it. She's dressed as Sarah Connor. She has the she's dressed as Sarah Connor, but she has the cyborg face, What does she have to say? What do you have to say?
Every morning I wake up to a new headline lying about me. I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband. And the list goes on and on and on.
If you doubted the power of ridicule, look no further than this. Let's pull it up one more time. The Drewski edit here. The Drewski Erica Kirk. This is what has her pissed. I really thought it was quite funny.
Get on your feet, boy!
Whether you agree or disagree, find this offensive or not. Some people, I don't know. I feel like it's forced. I felt like it was forced with blackface. I don't think anyone actually cares. I also don't think anyone really cares about whiteface. Come on. I don't think anyone, maybe it's just a different culture or something, but in the United States, it seems like it's the only place that really cared. And they tried to import it to Spain, where they had Black Peter, and they didn't really get rid of it because they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? We didn't do what you did. Okay, what are you talking about? Anyway, If you ever doubted the power of ridicule, the power of pretending harder than they do, I mean, look at, this has been, since Drewski posted this, this was on the 25th of March. It's been over a month. And she's still mad about it. One more time.
I have comedians dressing up in whiteface. I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO. And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband.
And I love how, actually, I hadn't even noticed this till now. She snuck in something interesting. I can see what the game is here. You have to think, young brother. Let's put on our thinking caps here. Okay, this is not just provocative. Okay, this is, what did she say? Hang on, one more time. Let's listen one more time. What is the real grievance here? Hang on.
Hang on.
One more time.
I have comedians dressing up in whiteface.
Comedians dressing up in whiteface. This is something outlandish, something that no one should tolerate, etc., etc.
I have people saying I'm not fit to be CEO.
People saying I'm not fit to be CEO. That's more fiscal. That is corporative. That is something else. Okay.
And I have Candace Owens claiming I murdered my husband.
Both of these things here on the outside are ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous. You know, the crazy black detective lady is saying I killed my husband, and some black guy is dressed up in white making fun of me. This is called, in Persuasion, the sandwich technique, where when you want to accomplish something, you code it in things. I think the real grievance is probably that she feels that people think she's unfit to be CEO of TPUSA. And she feels that she needs to defend herself against that. However, she can't just say that, because that would be a fiscal conversation, a conversation of corporate character, of how things are going. But in reality, and because of that, she has to code it in this crap so it can just slip in there past the cognitive faculty. What? Maybe Erica Kirk should be the CEO. These blacks won't leave her alone. I mean, that's obviously what's supposed to happen here. You know. And that's really something. Very intelligent. You almost got me, Erica. You almost got me, but you're not going to get away with it.
You can't keep getting away with it. You can't keep getting away with it.
Erica, you're not going to get this level 1 wizardry past a level 30 Scientologist like myself. All right. I have been to the planet Xenu. Me and Tom Cruise are throwing back beers on the super yacht with L. Ron Hubbard's hologram. We know the real thing, Erica. I'm at level 9,000, bitch. You're not gonna use some level 1 wizardry on me. All right, let's continue. How you doing, Audio Vibes? I had to show you this. This is very quick. This is Mr. Fishback, who we caught up with yesterday. I wanted to show you where he is doing his next event. He is doing it at Cafe. This is a Vietnamese place. Okay, this is not, by the way, let me fix the chat. This is not an American place. This is a Vietnamese place that is in Tampa that has gone viral before. That has this name. It's called Cafe Bitch Ga. I believe that's how it's pronounced. However, if you speak English, when I point out, it says Cafe, this is tomorrow at Cafe Bitch Ga. It's a little different in English if you pronounce it phonetically. And of course, he had to say here, join me in the Tampa bag tomorrow night at Cafe Bitch Ga at Byron Donald's favorite restaurant.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It
gets the people going.
No, obviously. Look, it's racially insensitive. It's insensitive. I know. He's already called him a slave. Is this worse than that? I mean, come on, dude. Like, and I wanted to show you, this is the actual cafe. I told you it's viral. Look at this, 4.6 stars on Google. It's this cafe here called Cafe Bitch Ga. They have Vietnamese food like pho. And people love going here because I don't know what this means in Vietnamese, but like people that go here, Cafe what? Cafe Bitch Ga. Couple of African American gentlemen, a white woman, Cafe Bitch Ga. I love Cafe Bitch Ga. I mean, it's a great name, you know. It's so Byron Donalds. Look at this one, Cafe Bitch Ga. He might be the trolliest guy to have ever run for Florida's election. Absolutely. I had to show you the end of Schizo Watch here. One of our favorite punching bags here on the show. We've made fun of her quite a bit. Olivia Reingold, who works for my wife, Barry Weiss, the beautiful Barry Weiss, the very sexy and beautiful Barry Weiss. If you don't think Barry Weiss deserves to be Maxim's Woman of the Year, then you should probably leave.
Shut up! Be quiet before you get exiled.
Barry Weiss is... If I were to say she's the most beautiful woman in New York, it would be insulting because that's not big enough. You know, she might be not even the most beautiful woman on the planet in the known and unknown universe, Barry Weiss is, okay? And Olivia Reingold works for her, and she was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner when this shooting went down that we covered yesterday. And I wanted to show you what her reaction was. Let's see how a seasoned reporter like Olivia Reingold, who, if I recall, her most impactful piece of reporting was reading every Zoran Mamdani tweet. Every single one. I mean, is that Woodward and Bernstein or what? That's crazy. Let's see how a seasoned reporter reacts to a mass shooting.
We were just seated over, I'm seated near one of the doors and there...
Zay!
People are shouting USA now. I don't know, I just heard like 4 huge knocks by this door. Everyone. I don't know, maybe it's safe now, but
I mean, this.
Technically, according to the strict law of the Torah, not one Gentile in the world deserves to live.
I actually don't even think she's a fellow Goy. This is the press. The press is this. The whole time, it is focused on her. This is the whole... We are supposed to watch her interpretation of the events rather than the events themselves. I mean, how many layers deep are we here on the simulacrum? We can't even watch. The reporters nowadays don't even film the event. In fact, what they rather film is their cleavage. That's what they rather show us. I mean, if it were a male reporter and he were showing us his dick print, I would say the same thing. This isn't a sexist comment. I'm just wondering, this is what the free press does? How much is the free press worth, according to Larry Ellison? Like $1 billion? $3 billion? $10 billion? This is the brilliant reporting of the Free Press. Olivia Reingold showing us also, we had to see the hair, of course. We had to. This is, what is the point of this? And look, like, even some acting here. I mean, someone get Jimmy Stewart. Staring straight into the camera for this. Great stuff. The Free Press, a $10 billion, so it might as well be $20 billion corporation. According to Larry Ellison, they bought it for that. This is the reporting that they do. It is Olivia Reingold staring into the camera, showing you her cleavage, while a mass shooting, which would be much more interesting to watch, is going down. I love it. I love where we are. This is a great time to be here. What a wonderful time.
We live in hell. We live in the gutter.
This is just insane. All right. How you doing, CCTV? I've always worn these glasses, brother. I've always worn them. All right. Let's get to the next. We might skip this one because we have to get to, we have to catch up with this other segment.
I want you to take your knife. Getting him, King? Make it sing.
I'm not gonna fucking blow my life away working.
I want what I can't have.
Get yourself up and get to work right now.
I'm broke as fuck. The rent's due.
Toby, stay. Toby, stay. Toby, be good now.
Can't wait to make spreadsheets and send emails.
I'm very excited for this first video because, yeah, I need to make a clip of Boys in the Hood when Furious says, you have to think, young brother, about your future. I need that for the show. When we put on our kufis, when we are thinking kufis on tight, shout out to the Hoteps, we need a signal, okay? I need you to put your kufi on tight here. I need you to put boomer hatred aside. I need you to put millennial hatred aside, Gen X hatred, Zoomer hatred. I want you to watch this where a slave tries to help another slave, but they just won't listen. I knows the way to the Underground Railroad. Nuh-uh, I ain't want to go to the Underground Railroad. Brother, this is the slave mentality.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind.
Let us watch what I mean here. Let's watch.
If I was going to the movies, how much money would you give me?
Well, I know that it's expensive. Probably for you, if it's on Tuesday, because it's 2 for Tuesday, you could probably get a deal for like $5. I would say.
With popcorn,
and then
$5.
with popcorn, probably add another 3, so all in about 8.
He is absolutely right.
Sensational.
I know. You're going to say, oh, King Leo, but it's a boomer. He doesn't understand inflation. He's absolutely right. He is absolutely right. No joke. This is great advice. I'm not being ironic here. You want to go to the movies? This man is right. On Tuesdays for a matinee, which is actually going to be a better movie these days. I watched On the Waterfront as a matinee. And Ben-Hur. Do you know how much the tickets were? $7. Just that. Just $7. Now, it's not $5 like he says, but that's okay. He's less than 50% off. Okay. And popcorn is not $3 at the movie. Absolutely not. But if you go to the grocery store next to the movie theater or near it, you can buy Skinny Pop for around $3. He's spinning. He is spinning right now. He is completely correct. He is completely correct. framed it, said, hey man, this is how you can get to movies for cheap. I can help you. And as usual, my fellow Gentile won't listen.
I can't stand these fucking people, man. The joke is becoming a reality. Every day I hate one more person. They drive me crazy, man.
The one time that we can watch here a boomer giving real advice, real good advice, he is ridiculed, condemned for being stupid or something. And to be real with you, as I always preach on this show, but not really because it's a crime, sometimes the movies are free. That's all I'm going to say. Sometimes going to the movie is literally free. And sometimes it's even by accident. Well, sometimes I go to the movies and I forgot to buy my ticket and there's no ticket attendant. And I go in there and I get to watch a movie for free. It happens a lot at the matinees. A lot. It happens. Some people, when I worked at Burger King in high school, I worked with this broke ass guy, dude. His name was Tony. This guy must have been smoking fentanyl or something. And he would, every night, because he was homeless, buy a movie ticket. This is before COVID, dude. This is before the pandemic.
During the pandemic, my lifestyle drastically changed.
This is very different time. The movies used to go really late, even during the week. He would buy a ticket and just sleep at the movie theater. They wouldn't kick him out. They really wouldn't care because he'd just be in the back. They can't really, they're not coming in to clean when there's one guy left. They'll check or whatever, but they didn't care. It was another time, and it was a different economy. Then he'd get up and go to work the next day. There are so many hacks like this that you've never... It's just you can't help people. You can't help the slave, man. You can't help the slave. Let us watch a liberated slave over here, runaway slave from the plantation. This is another option that you have available to you. Let us watch this young woman.
I walked away from my dad. I left my car parked in front of the bank that financed it, and I didn't pay my rent for 2 months. Before I got evicted, I moved out. So what were the consequences to my actions? If you're new here, my name is Lorena. I left the United States 2 years ago and moved to Colombia. I kind of played the system. And a lot of you guys are asking me or wondering, did you get punished for that? And the simple answer is, not really. It's fear-mongering. I'm only here to tell you what happened to me and what my experience was. So let's start with the credit card debt. What happened? Nothing. They just reported me to the credit bureau. They eventually charged it off. It went to collections, and that's where it's at. And in about 3-4 more years, it'll disappear from my credit because that's how the rules work. In the meantime, if I was living in the US, my credit would be considered shot. But I'm not living in the US anymore. I live in Colombia, and I have pristine credit in Colombia. And the credit that I have in the United States doesn't matter here because credit scores are a fucking American sham. So yeah, and frankly, by the time I chose to walk away from my debt, I had already been late on several payments because the minimums were so high and these credit card companies were unwilling to work with me. So they had already damaged my credit, which means they left me with nothing to lose. What about my car? I left my car parked in front of the bank that financed it, tossed the keys into the ATM box, and called customer service to let them know where they could find it. And what were those consequences? Nothing. All I got were a bunch of letters that I owed them this, I owed them for towing, I owed them for blah, blah, blah. I was like, no. Go argue with your mama because I'm not paying rent. And then came the letters saying that if you don't pay this, hurt your credit, and it's going to go to collections. Which I was like, everything's in collections. Might as well put it in there. Again, in 7 years, it ain't going to matter. And then my rent. I didn't pay that for 2 months. But here's the thing. I didn't have a landlord. I didn't have an actual person I was paying my rent to. My building was owned by a property management firm that owned 400 other properties in the United States. I didn't pay my rent for 2 months, packed all my shit, and left the keys on the counter. Before they could file an eviction, I was gone. And about a month later, I received a letter from their lawyers. And I remember opening that and being like, oh, this is going to be fun. And the letter simply said, tenant vacated the property and that all is fine. It didn't request that I pay back previous rent, but if it had, I wasn't going to pay it. They could stick that shit in collections as well, throw it into the collections party. To the theory of consequences, that didn't show up. Not that way.
Everyone gangsta till a real Nietzschean woman pulls up. What a smart woman. The only thing I would say is, if you want to go real Nietzschean, you owe money on the car, fucking sell it to someone on Facebook or something, get the cash and get the fuck out. And there, I mean, it's not correct. I'm just saying that's not correct. But I'm just saying if you really wanted to go Nietzschean, real Ubermensch, real sociopathic, you would do that. This is a runaway slave, man. This is someone who is, and obviously the person who tweeted this is angry at them. They're saying, you know, this is, let's read it here. You know, this kind of thing is much more common than most Americans realize. Foreigners, spiritual and literal, blow through credit cards, rack up debt, and then drop everything and go back to their country of origin. Oh, no, the banks. Oh, the poor banks.
That's right, run.
Oh no, the bank. Dude, how cocked do you have to be to say this? Like, how this is the slave mentality for real.
This is exactly what I'm talking about, the slave mentality, the slave mind.
The poor banks. Why don't, this is why we live in a crab in a bucket society, dude. For anyone that's not aware, if you ever like are a fisherman and you're collecting crabs, not the venereal disease, I mean the actual animal, and you have them fished out and you want to sell them at the market, you can put them all in the same bucket, even overflow, because the crabs have this instinct where they are a collective society. So if a crab tries to jump out, the other ones will grab it and pull it in. For if I'm going to boil, we're all going to boil. And this is just a crab in a bucket mentality, man. Like, this doesn't make sense. You are getting, I mean, this is just such a point. It's the banks, dude. You know where they get the money from? The Federal Reserve, not to sound like Dave Smith. How you doing, Spring? But this is insane. It's insane to me how you can, Bank of America would not piss on you if you were on fire. And on it, dude, this is what I don't get is, all right, let's say that you're a white nationalist. Let's say that you're a white supremacist. You know, you hate the minorities. You want all of the Hispanics killed. Sorry, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not dying. But whatever, let's say you're a real wignat. You're a real wignats out here, okay? And you hate the Hispanics and the blacks and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, all right. The country is going to be majority, like, not majority, but at least at this point, let's take it at this. The country has a plurality Spanish-speaking population. It does. It does. Because it's legal and illegal immigration. It is a second language in this country at this point. A lot of people speak Spanish. Why would you not get a bunch of credit card debts, buy a bunch of shit that you could sell in Colombia, move there, live like a king for 7 years, learn Spanish, and then come back? Now you're a bilingual whatever. Yeah, your market value has gone up for corporations. Now you're a translator, and it was all on the dime of the Federal Reserve. Why would you not do that? Why would you not? Why would you not? I just don't understand. Even it doesn't matter how racist you are. That would make you competitive in the market. Maybe you don't want to learn Spanish. Maybe it's the spick tongue. Then why don't you do this and move to, I don't know, fucking France, French Guiana. You can just learn French and come back and be a French translator or something. Why not? Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? Or well, you go to Europe. If you go to Germany, go learn German. I would go and do it somewhere like that because it's cheap and it's fun, right? But go to China. Go to China and learn Chinese. But no, the slave my fellow Gentile brother. It's just it's a crab in a bucket world. The poor banks.
I always wonder how dumb this goyim sometimes can be.
I'm disgusted. Let's continue. I think this is a good one. This is a good one to watch here. How you doing? You don't like my music? We have new people here. If you're new, you're like, comment, and subscribe. I appreciate you tuning in. Spring, by the way, saw you commented on the movie club. I'm going to get back to you. I'm catching up with comments tonight or tomorrow in the morning. Let's see this.
I chose a trade over going to college, and here's the reality of it. You're going to be waking up early, working long hours, going to trade school a couple nights a week, working through the cold, sweating your ass off in attics, all while watching your friends go to college and party, making life look like it's easy. Here's what they don't tell you. You're going to be in no debt. You're going to be making money, saving money, investing money. The earlier you start investing money, the better. And in 4 to 5 years, you're going to have a valuable skill that you can use to start your own business. Trades, starting your own business, doesn't take much. Truck, tools, customers, knowledge. There you go. It's not easy, but neither is being broke.
I really don't. I'm not understanding this. I don't. There is now an instilled sense of superiority in trades. I remember when I was in high school, there were a lot of rich people telling you not to go to college. And I'm not even saying I would tell you to go to college. I think it's probably a bad idea. It's probably not a great idea to go to college right now or something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. I'm not a guru here. If you want to go to college and get piss wasted and whatever, I mean, maybe that's up to you, buddy. I don't know. What do you want me to say?
Netanyahu, what do you have to say?
Okay. But now we're at a point, and I've noticed a lot of boomers are also saying this, where young people are being told to go into the trades because you'll be able to set up your own business and have a grand old time in the trades. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Well, I got to tell you something. This is one of these front end things. All right. You could set up your business. That's true. That's true. You could do that. You are going to have to be an apprentice or something like this doing back-breaking work that is just terrible. It's just like the worst work. Dude, like, let's not romanticize it, man. Do you know any welders? My buddy's dad is a welder. Was a welder. His knees do not work anymore. They don't work. And he's one of the best welders that I've ever met. He's a very, very good welder, but his knees don't work. Okay? I have met welders. Their knees, their backs, their joints, their arthritis is not good. And now, obviously, on this show, we're pro, like, innovation and all that. Like, maybe someday they'll cure it, but so far they haven't. You go work somewhere where they're not using the right PP&E, you can develop lung cancer. What's the other trade? Electrician. I knew an electrician when I worked at the cigar shop. When they stopped coming in, he fell off a ladder. Not a ladder, one of those truck things. Didn't die, as a kid, broke his fucking back. I'm not telling you that there's no honor in this work, but this is just the field slave telling the house slave, come on out here. It's nice in the sun, sir. It's a good time. We get a tan. No, it's all slavery. You can set up a business. Okay, brother. There's no illegals anymore. Those profit margins are going down. I don't see this. I don't see this as, I see J Boss saying, yes, the locksmith. I mean, that one is less damaging, right? It's less damaging. Or knife sharpening. But all of these, people, these tradesmen, these field slaves, they're getting a little bit uppity, And I don't like the house slaves either. I don't like the lawyers and the doctors because, what, I'm a curmudgeon or whatever, right? But this is not I also, especially when you hear it from older folks, where like, you should go into the trades. It's the first time in human history that I have heard an older generation advocating downward social mobility for the other. And I know we have a little bit of sometimes we look at a little bit of Marxism on this show and all that. We have the China plate, we have our EZLN flag and everything. And, but we're not Marxists, we're Baudrillardians. I respect the tradesmen, I really do. I respect the power of labor. But let's be clear, it is downward social mobility. You are supposed, how did John Adams say it? I have to learn war so my son can learn to be an engineer. And my father had to be a farmer so I could learn war. And my grandson will study arts. It is downward mobility. It's unfortunate. It is unfortunate, but that is just the way it is perceived status-wise and everything. And so this magic bullet theory, listen, man, there's anything that can happen is, if there's anything, also, by the way, it's bullshit in terms of the apprenticeship programs and all that, because I looked into it. I looked into the trades back in the day, and I was like, dude, this is not as easy as they make it seem. Your dumb college buddies that have some debt, maybe some of them are on scholarship too. Maybe some of them aren't that dumb. Maybe some of them aren't that dumb. Maybe they're getting a dumb degree, but everything is being paid for by their parents or by the state or with a scholarship. You don't know. You don't know. When they are 70 years old and they are doing their government mandated fentanyl with their VR goggles on, putting in their social credit number to watch a little bit of goon bait while the automatic flashlight machine is jerking it for them. When that's happening in 2070, they can at least think back to the time they got really drunk in college and had a good time. You are going to be in the same machine, but your legs don't work because of the trades, and thinking about how you just didn't do anything when you were young. All right, that's it. That's it. That's it. This is true. By the way, guys, for anyone new here, if you want me to see a chat, please either super chat it, if you'd be so kind, or put an @ in there, @KingLeoMiami, and I'll check it out. All right? All right. I think we have to get to our stories. I think we do, actually. I think we have to get to the story. I think we do. All right. Let's get to the story. Are you ready to get to our main story? Very important story. Gavin McInnes. Very controversial man. Okay.
Sensational.
Very controversial. Gavin McInnes is the founder of the Proud Boys. He's known for that. Okay. The Proud Boys is considered a terrorist organization in Canada and New Zealand. In America, it is considered not a terrorist organization, but something else that's not exactly that because of the First Amendment. However, in America, groups such as the SPLC and the ADL consider it a hate group, whatever that means. In England, Gavin McInnes is considered a person of interest, meaning that he has had his travel visas denied. In Canada, it's interesting. I was refreshing everything before the show. He is considered the founder of a terrorist organization, yet not a terrorist himself, which is really odd because that'd be kind of like if you were like, Al-Qaeda is a terrorist organization, but Osama bin Laden is not. Kind of weird. Yeah, okay. New Zealand, same situation. This is a controversial fella, but before you judge Gavin too much, I feel like when a normie defends Kanye West, right? They're like, he made Graduation. He made Vice. Okay, he made Vice. He made Vice. He made Vice. He made Vice. I was a huge Vice fan. I really liked Vice. Vice was great. It was very cool. And Gavin McInnes did this. Okay, we cannot separate that from him. Okay, a lot of people think it was Shane Smith. The original writer was Gavin McInnes, and at the time when it started, he was an anarcho-communist type. He became a right-winger after 9/11 is his explanation because of the terrorism, and he started to hate Muslims or something like that, right? But I will say this before we get into it. Like, I've always been like, dude, like, he made advice. If you read his book, The Death of Cool, which I'm pretty sure I read, I can't recall. I can't find my copy. I know I bought it, but I'm pretty sure I read it. This is a man who invented hipsterdom. This is a man who has been, he's kind of like Forrest Gump. He is been present in some form or the other for most historical events in the past 20 years. It's weird. He's a character. He's a character. In England, he would be a member of the House of Lords if he weren't the leader of a, well, he's not a terrorist leader in England because the Proud Boys aren't considered a terrorist group in England. It's only in New Zealand. I thought that it worked like if the Five Eyes, one of them called you a terrorist, you were all a terrorist or something like that. By the way, Eve says, enjoy every day, especially since the system's going to go, can be hell on earth for so many. And thank you, Eves. I appreciate that. And I see you don't like my music says this is a right-wing channel. No, this is a Baudrillardian channel. If you want a right-wing channel, go tune into Nick Fuentes. This is not a right-wing channel. Please don't. We do not do the politics here. Okay. We are Baudrillardian. So we deconstruct. Okay. Look. And as far as my interactions with the Proud Boys over the years, because I'm from Miami, everything always comes back to Florida. Every major thing comes back to Florida. Like, it's just the way it works. It's just how it works. I don't know why, but Florida's the center of the universe. It really is. People thought it was Mecca or Rome or Jerusalem. No, it's Florida. The Proud Boys' most famous member is Enrique Tarrio. For anyone that doesn't know what he looks like, this is what he looks like, okay? I met Enrique Tarrio a few times when I worked at a cigar shop in Miami in college. This gentleman here, he is a black Cuban man who was at J6. Some people accuse him of being a Fed. I don't know what his actual agenda is or anything. I literally don't know. Okay, this is Enrique Tarrio. And he got pardoned as part of the J6 protesters. In real life, he's not that charming. I spoke to him in Spanish when I met him. He's just like a Cuban guy. Like, he's not really that weird. He's like, yeah. The Proud Boys, as was explained to me by one of my coworkers, was like, oh, it's like a social club. And I think that that's a little bit benign, to put it that way. I think that the Proud Boys were definitely involved. I mean, it's admitted that they were involved in violence. Now, I'm not saying they caused it or didn't cause it. I'm not a lawyer or whatever. But in Miami, I've seen the Proud Boys at several events in Miami. Seen them, because I hang out with everyone. I've been to the John Birch Society events. I've seen them there. I've seen them at back in the July protests of 2021 for Cuba. There were a lot of Proud Boys there. It's just like an older guy club. But obviously they're considered a terrorist group. I don't know why that is. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know. But look, Gavin McInnes, he's been canceled for years because of it. I mean, imagine trying to be a normal person. Imagine trying to be Osama bin Laden. Imagine being Canadian, Scottish, American Osama bin Laden, like Gavin McInnes. Imagine that. Imagine it. It would be a tough time. Well, how can you ascend in your career or anything? How could anyone take you seriously if you are considered the founder of a terrorist organization? And so for a long time, Gavin went away. They went away. Come to find out that yesterday he was interviewed by, of all people,
say the N word, go on,
Piers Morgan, as part of a panel. And I hadn't heard from Gavin in years. In years. And I think this is very interesting here. Very interesting. Why is Piers Morgan rehabilitating Gavin McInnes? And you might say, because we'll watch here, where you're like, how is he rehabilitating him? He's challenging him. He's making it a difficult environment. His presence is enough for rehabilitation. This is a signal that Gavin McInnes is allowed back into the public square. He's allowed. Okay, cool. Kind of odd. Now it's especially weird to consider because it seems like, who knows how much of it is kayfabe or not. I don't know. But it seems like Piers Morgan is on the outs with Trump. But Gavin McInnes is a pretty strong Trump supporter, if I'm not mistaken. If I recall correctly, Gavin McInnes was heavily criticized for being not far right enough by some right-wingers. He was not considered anti-Semitic enough.
Cool it with the anti-Semitic remarks.
I think Gavin McInnes has repeatedly pledged allegiance, or not allegiance, but sympathy with Israel. And I know that has caused some, unless he's completely changed. But he is a Trump supporter, as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm aware. And trying to read between the lines here, if Piers is on the outs with Trump, which it kind of seems like they're not getting along, and he's always ahead of the trend, he has on here Gavin and Chris Rufo and Joe Walsh and this other guy. I don't know who this guy is, this redheaded guy. This is odd. This is such, we're going to watch this together, and I'm not teasing you. I'm not joking you. I don't know what the point of this is. This is really odd to see him being interviewed here on Piers Morgan, being rehabilitated. I don't understand why. I don't understand that Piers is trying to hurt Trump by bringing back a problematic supporter and making the Trump movement look crazy. I think Piers is pretty aware that more than likely, if the SAVE Act is not passed or anything, the Democrats will take the midterms. So I don't understand what the goal of this is, but I think it's worth watching for us to try to figure it out together. So let's go over there, and then we might watch who his first guest was, which was pretty weird. So let's sit here through Piers's introduction. Okay, we'll go through his first guest a little bit later, all right, which was really odd to see as well. Okay, let's get to it. Actually, we have to do our little Piers. It's been a while, huh?
Hang on, no, hang on, no, hang on, no, hang on, no, hang on. No, sorry. I hear you, and I accept that, and we'll leave it there. Thank you all very much. Say the M word, go on.
Let's watch some Piers Morgan.
Violence crisis in the US. The second is that so many people think it was a hoax, a staged event to rekindle affections for an increasingly unpopular president. Claims it was all an elaborate setup have come from the hard left as well as the hard right online. But what's different this time is that plenty of apparently very normal people seem to think it too. And in the weeks leading up to the attack, a right-wing conspiracy theory that Butler was staged became sufficiently popular that both CNN...
Let us consider the framing. Gavin McInnes... Oh, hang on. Gavin McInnes is not on Piers Morgan in a vacuum. He is on here to debate, to fight with people about whether Trump is being persecuted or not in these assassination attempts. Now, you can assume that Gavin is going to be very pro-Trump, but he is bringing on someone who has baggage, whether he deserves it or not. Gavin McInnes has baggage. And to defend Trump, a person who founded a group that has been involved in political violence, whether they instigated it or not. Odd choice, Piers. Odd choice. And to discuss the 12th time they've tried to assassinate Trump. So let's watch.
And Wired felt compelled to cover it. For his part, President Trump tied the latest incident to the scandal about the Southern Poverty Law Center, accused of funding extremist groups in order to say it was fighting them.
I see these no kings, which are funded just like the Southern Law was funded. You saw all that. Southern Law is financing the KKK and lots of other radical, terrible groups. And then they go out and they say, oh, we've got to stop the KKK. And yet they give them hundreds of thousands and even millions of dollars. It's a total scam run by the Democrats. It shows you that, like Charlottesville was all funded by the Southern Law. That was a Southern Law deal, too. And it was done to make me look bad, and it turned out to be a total fake. It basically was a rigged election.
Well, we'll debate all this in a moment. My take would simply be that if everybody repeatedly blames each other and nobody really believes anything, it's going to be a lot worse before it gets better. Joining me on
Absolutely true. A Baudrillardian, a former wizard here. Absolutely true.
the panel is Christopher Rufo. He's the senior fellow, Manhattan Institute. Joe Walsh, the former Republican.
Now, we have to go through the outfits as usual.
Joining me on the panel is Christopher Rufo. He's the senior.
Christopher Rufo showing up in the overcoat, the millennial scourge. I hate the overcoat. But in a nice podcast studio, he looks nice. It looks professional. Well groomed. You know, this is a serious man.
Fellow Manhattan Institute. Joe Walsh, the former Republican.
Now, Piers knows that Joe Walsh has a bad camera and setup and looks like a lesbian. Joe Walsh is a caricature of a political figure. He is someone to make fun of, a lolcow, if you will. Okay? This is not someone to be taken seriously, and we can assume these two are going to be on opposite sides. Who else?
And host of The Social Contract, Gavin McInnes, founder.
Gavin McInnes showing up here in his suit with the Proud Boys stuff in the background. Look, Gavin is an eclectic guy. This is his studio. It's very old school. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's a cool looking thing. And these wouldn't be the graphics I would put behind me. But Gavin McInnes at least is a LARPing as a serious, sort of like Fox Newsy, because he was on Fox News quite a bit. Guy in the suit and everything here with a professional setup. We could say, oh, he kind of looks ridiculous, possibly, but compared to Joe Walsh, he looks professional.
Of the Proud Boys and Censored TV host, and Brian Shapiro, host of No Limits.
And Brian Shapiro, who I'm not really familiar with, but again, showing up in a hat, which looks ridiculous. Can someone get Tim fucking Pool over here?
Say the N-word. Go on.
Headphones that are earbuds that are sticking out, a poorly done background, a bad camera. He does not look great. I think we can see that Piers is trying to frame one side of this as more rational than the other, in a blazer with a t-shirt under it. One of these sides is being framed as more professional than the other.
Welcome to all of you. Brian Shapiro, let me start with you because you've been on many debates on this show, and they often follow attacks by people on the right, attacks by people on the left. To me, it's a kind of stain on everyone's houses, right? The level of violent rhetoric and violent action in American political discourse and American politics is completely out of hand. It's out of control. And nobody seems to want to put a control valve in. Each time there's an incident, everyone expresses their outrage, but at the same time seems to want to pin the blame on everybody but themselves. I would ask you maybe a difficult question. Do you think you look at your own rhetoric in the last...
What is a tetrascale? Look that up, J-Boss. Tetrascale. What is this? Tetrascale? What the hell is this? It's from the Basque country? It's a heavy metal thing? Okay. Interesting. Why would he have that as a... This is like Celtic, right? I assume it looks Celtic. Well, I guess he's Irish, right? Because of the red and all that. All right, interesting. Spring says Brian Shapiro equals illegitimate son of Ben Shapiro and Temple. Brother, I mean, this is just such a bad look. Why would you do this to yourself? This is a Ben Shapiro style blazer with a Tim Pool style hat.
10 years. Can you point to times when you yourself maybe have used rhetoric that you now wish you hadn't? What is the answer here to dialing the temperature down collectively?
Well, Piers, good to see you. Thank you for having me on again. I would say no. I would say different standards for different people. I would say when you're the president of the United States, you're supposed to be lowering the temperature and the rhetoric. I would say after this incident that took place the other day, what we should be talking about is mental health. We should be talking about gun control. We should be talking about security breaches. How did this person get to that area? I don't like to blame one side of the aisle. but I want both sides to come together. I don't condone violence on any side. But I also need to bring up the fact that it was the president of the United States just several months ago that was calling for the execution of 6 elected Democrats.
Let's be clear here. All right, first of all, this is obviously it's couched in rhetoric, the anti-Trump side, looking to blame Trump here. And that's fine. I have nothing against that. But Piers could not have invited a more uncharismatic. I mean, just look at him talk. This is one of these quirks that you see sometimes. If you have any of these quirks, dude, work on them. Seriously. Like, there are things we all have to work on. I have to work on not picking at my cuticles. I'm bad at it. Look at how he talks. Do you see how there is tension in his lower lip? Do you see that? Do you see how his teeth? You should get some braces. The gap there. Look at you should not be making that shape when you're talking. You shouldn't be making that shape. You already look unpresentable, my friend. But you shouldn't be. This is in the frown as well. It's not a very good look. This looks like a leprechaun who is related to Conor McGregor by way of his third cousin that has been inbred for 1.5 generations. This is a bad look. Look, if we take the audio off, and we can see Piers is inviting someone who a lot of people are going to go, this is an uncharismatic individual. Okay, I don't think Chris Rufo is charismatic personally, but Chris Rufo is at least not as distasteful as this freak here, this little freak. And it's not even because I disagree with what he's saying. I do think we should talk about the security breach. Absolutely true. However, this is a weird looking fella, man. Like, it's just bad camera. You can see Piers here is having some sort of little agenda. It's odd. Okay, let's continue.
United States just several months ago that was calling for the execution of 6 elected Democrats. So there has to be some responsibility there.
And starting off with this is also a tell, the primacy effect. Most people that watch this sit through this and go, God damn, this guy is annoying. Look at how he talks. Thought he was Irish. He was supposed to talk cool. He's talking like an idiot. And no one really wants to hear that. No one, very uncharismatic.
And I would also say about the conspiracy theories that you brought up, Pierce. Why is it that all these MAGA Republicans in unison, an hour or two after this incident, were talking about building a ballroom, and why positives were put down about we need to build this ballroom? That's not going to help anybody. I don't like attacks, people blaming just the left and just the right. I think it's unfair, and I think we need to figure out ways to stop these incidents from happening. Of course, this was a real incident.
I mean, I would say
Butler was a real incident.
I would say, Brian.
By the way, for this issue, just for the looks maxers in here, these bags, no joke, hemorrhoid cream. Put hemorrhoid cream on here. Not medical advice. Hemorrhoid cream, that's what the supermodels use to get rid of these bags. How are you going to do this and not look smacks?
Well, on that point, yeah, that's the point I was about to make, which is I accept it was clearly a coordinated campaign to get the ballroom promoted and so on, which seemed a bit tasteless. And also, it's not like the White House Correspondents' Dinner could even be in the new ballroom, because the new ballroom only has 999 seats available, and the White House Correspondents' Dinner is 2,500 people. So I don't even understand that argument. It's like, what's the point?
Right.
I actually have no problem with a bigger ballroom at the White House. It's fine.
I'm glad CCTV is pointing it out. You were already, look at what Piers did. He did him so dirty. Centered on the screen here, we have the most ridiculous looking person on the panel. Like, he may have his faults. This Ellen looking figure, this is design. And Piers knows, because he's had Joe Walsh on many times. Do you see how you think that Piers doesn't think about this stuff? Put your kufi on, brother. Put your kufi on. He is framing here the most odd looking. Would you trust Joe Walsh with your wallet? I wouldn't. I think he would be so neurotic that he would end up losing in some sort of like Woody Allen-esque way, or like this is a neurotic figure that is being framed here in the center, flanked by, even if you think he's controversial, in a suit, in an overcoat, millennial slop or whatever, and the Gen X suit with the tie. And even here, even a blazer, we have here This is the stuff you should pay attention to. This is designed on purpose, okay? They are putting here the most insane looking mental midget in here. I'm sorry, I know that word is offensive, and I actually am being kind to the little person community. I didn't really know about that, but I learned about it on a trip, and I do respect them, the little people. I don't like saying that because it feels condescending, but I was informed by some little people that I met that the M word is very not nice. So I try to avoid it, but all right.
I don't see why everything should always have to stay the same. We have adjustments to our number 10 Downing Street all the time. Nobody cares. It's become a big political potato. But in relation to the final point you made, I saw a similar coordinated campaign about the thing being staged at the weekend, and it just blew up online with people stage.
Pierce, let me just unequivocally say this. Yeah. Those people are idiots. I don't care whether you're on the left or the right. Yeah. This wasn't a staged incident. But Pierce, the point that I was trying to make, and I think we agree on this, is that when you have all these right-wing grifters and some with large accounts on social media.
And also, I'm going to say this. Look, man. This aggressive thing, like this way of speaking, this reeks of low testosterone. You don't see me being all aggressive like this. It's like impotence aggression. I am a laid-back kind of guy. I really am. I'm a type B. I'm very chill. And I'm not going to pretend to be someone I'm not. You're not going to catch me out here doing the steroids looking crazy, all right? If it comes down to blows, you know me, I'm from Florida. We're not going to blows, buddy. We're going to something else. We're going to something else. Calling them grifters and like, all right, buddy. First of all, I don't know if it's staged or not. I have no idea. I'm not saying it was or wasn't. I want to know what the investigation concludes, what the trial concludes. I'm going to assume that it's true, like that it is real. But if someone, I mean, really think about this, man. It's been 27 times they tried to get President Trump. Okay? It's like 27, maybe 37. I don't know. What is why are they immediately insane? Why are they immediately insane? Because of thinking that. I'm not even going to fault them for it, dude. Everyone is schizo in the country. Who cares? The schizo dealers are doing their job. You're going to call out the grifters? You are here with the king grifter, the king schizo dealer, Mr. Morgan, who we love on the show. Say the N-word.
Say the N-word. Go on.
Spring says, the larger the voice, the smaller the... Yeah, that's the thing. Like this impotent aggression. I see J-Boss says rage. It's just, it's so annoying. This is so uncharismatic. All right, let's continue. CCTV eye bags raging about nothing, crazed look. Dude, this stuff matters. It matters in media.
In unison, all talking about the positives of building a ballroom, there's going to be some people in this country that think that this was all staged. Now, I'm not one of those people. I don't think you're very intelligent if you think that this was a staged event. Obviously, it wasn't, Piers. But I don't think people on the right are helping themselves any with some of the statements they've made on social media either, if that makes sense.
Christopher Rufo, you know, what's interesting is you actually get into the weeds about...
Now, interesting. We go from him over here, and we go over here to Chris Rufo. We are going to have the contrast now of the soft-spoken. Chris Rufo is like an NPR host, was a Republican. Chris Rufo, I'm going to be honest with you, I've never liked this guy on a surface level. I don't like Chris Rufo. I find him to be very annoying. I know some parents in Florida were very pleased with what he did in fixing our public school system. There's just something about this guy. I think it's because he looks Spanish, and I don't like Spanish people. I love the Spanish. I love them, but I have a prejudice. Can we not be honest here? I mean, I don't want to be racist over here.
Again, I don't want to get all racist or whatever, but you know,
I don't like Spanish people. I'm sorry. I don't like them. I have Spanish friends, but I will admit I was prejudiced when I met them, and then they were cool. Okay. Just one of my, I'm Latino. What do you expect? Yeah. So I just don't like him on this level. Lefty Me says, this is stupid. Well, feel free to leave, Lefty. get out.
Political violence over the last, say, 30 years. The Center for Strategic and International Studies reported in September, it said in recent years, the United States has seen an increase in the number of left-wing terrorism attacks and plots, although such violence...
How is it racist to say that I don't like Spanish people? I am Latino. I descend from Spanish people and Indians. I know what Spanish people look like and sound like. Unless you're doing the American thing and saying Spanish is every Latino, which is completely inaccurate.
Has risen from very low levels and remains much lower than historical levels of violence carried out by right-wing and jihadist attackers. But they note that 2025 marks the first time in more than 30 years that left-wing terrorist attacks outnumber those from the violent far right. And I think that is a pertinent point, which is if you go back in the last 30, 40 years, you'll see there's been a lot of violence on the right, a lot of violence on the left. But there's now a noticeable uptick in violence on the left. And many people, and I would be one of them, would apportion that, I think, to the ridiculously over-the-top rhetoric that's often used about Donald Trump and his administration, calling him Hitler, calling them a bunch of Nazis and so on. You know, as I made the point many times on this show, if you keep saying that people are Hitler and the Nazis, a deranged mind is going to compute that as a direct incentive to perform a public duty, a service to the country by removing Hitler and the Nazis and expect to be applauded for it. And that's the problem. If you over-egg the rhetorical souffle in that way, you are going to make impressionable minds think this is a good thing to be doing. Would you agree?
Yeah, I'd absolutely agree. And we're seeing really an explosion of decentralized left-wing violence that is being fueled, at least in part, by social media sites like Blue Sky. And in this individual case, it seems that the shooter was radicalized on Blue Sky in particular.
So now,
by people.
let's do it again. Chris Rufo's voice is not as annoying as this guy here. He is not shaking his head. He's not doing impotent anger. He is sticking to the Manhattan Institute standard, which is to, he look very calm, NPR style. The Manhattan Institute, I have some beef with them. They fired Glenn Lowry, who I actually like a lot. Glenn Lowry's cool, man. I like him. They fired him and rehired him because he had a difference of opinion on the Middle East. Fuck you. Glenn Lowry's cool. So I have a bone to pick with them. But obviously, I don't find him charismatic. But this is not... Look, we have over here... Watching it on silent is actually more useful. Look at this. The shaking, the anger, can't contain himself. Very calm individual here. Look at this face over here. And all the while, we have Gavin McInnes haunting the screen. Just haunting the screen. Haunting the screen.
That's my fear, is that we're going into an internet decentralized new version of the days of rage from the late 60s and early 70s.
Yeah, Joe Walsh, that's my fear. And I think AI is going to make this a lot worse because it'll become increasingly hard to be able to tell.
Do you see how Piers is edging you? And he is actually kind of giving Gavin a layup. He's going to let Joe Walsh speak first, who is like the most annoying looking guy on the panel. The most annoying and bad looking one on the panel. He could not have set it up better for McInnes. This is a real rehab job, and I'm just wondering why he's doing this.
Of these incidents, the tone of the rhetoric. I mean, for Donald Trump, I think what happened at the weekend was disgusting and appalling, and the twisted manifesto of the shooter was repellent to read, and he'd clearly been whipped up into thinking he had to attack Trump and his top people because of what he'd seen and heard from people deliberately using inflammatory rhetoric, which is wrong. But at the same time, it's only a week or so since Donald Trump was brazenly posting on X about wanting to annihilate 90 million Iranians, right? So, at what point do we accept that the rhetoric on all sides about almost everything has got out of control?
Pierce, I think you nailed it at the top, and you just nailed it again right there. It is out of control, and it is.
This guy has been on the Piers show like 20 times. Like 20 times, dude. And all he does, like, how does he not have an upgraded microphone at this point? How does he not have a microphone that is upgraded? How? How is this microphone this bad? This is truly he invited the most ridiculous. It would have been interesting to see Piers invite McInnes. And this is why I'm telling you it's a rehab job as opposed to a condemnation or even an attempt. We had to shift a weird opinion here in regards to what exactly he was trying to accomplish with Nick Fuentes. It seemed like with interviewing Nick Fuentes, he was trying to either warn or co-opt the, because Piers is tied to Tony Blair and the elite about this rising sentiment in the country. But here we have, this has to be a rehab job or at least a foot in the door type of thing where now Gavin can be a recurring guest. And this is normalizing McInnes all over again. This is so odd. It's so odd. Lefty Me says reported as a racist stream. What's reported as a racist stream? We're getting reported on? What, in the New York Times or something? I hope so.
Left-wing violence. We've seen a spike since Trump got elected in 24. I think a reaction to Trump, and it's got to be called out by everybody.
Okay, Gavin McInnes, you're an interesting person to have on for this debate because I think by your own admission, when you were setting up the Proud Boys, you said a lot of stuff which you've now regretted saying. I think you used a lot of incendiary rhetoric about all manner of things.
No.
You haven't regretted it?
Everything I said that sounded violent was a reaction to violence, but the SPLC and the ADL would take these quotes out of context and say, oh, he's a Nazi calling for random violence. We don't call for random violence. All the times I've said punch someone in the face, it's been a reaction to Antifa punching us in the face. I mean, I don't think a lot of the pundits out there have been outside. In 2015, 2016, we were getting attacked on a regular basis. I was getting jumped, and I always said, fight back. I never called for random violence. No one on the right calls for random violence. That's a myth. This whole well, both sides are flawed. No, the left is flawed, and right-wing violence is a myth. All of this stuff about, oh, there was a shooting at Dollar General, that guy's a nut. That's a Nazi who wants all blacks to die and go back to Africa, denying the Holocaust. That's not our guys. We eschew our radicals. The left embraces their radicals. They embrace the trans. They even embrace jihad, where they go global intifada. So we're the good guys. They're the bad guys. It's not an even keel here.
Wasn't Dylan Roof like a right winger? Wasn't he a right winger? I don't understand. But Gavin hasn't changed a bit. The last time I saw Gavin, like any content from him, was probably like 2018. And he was talking this same stuff. So I don't understand. I do think that obviously wasn't Dylan Roof, wasn't that guy that shot up the Latino Walmart in Texas, the right winger as well? I mean, I'm not saying or denying that there is violence from the left as well in this country, but it seems to me to be, and it's very clever on Gavin's part to spin the narrative. But it's interesting to watch that Piers has set him up for this. He allowed him. He didn't pull the.
Oh, hang on.
He let him say his piece. Said, hey, do you regret anything? All right, let's listen to what you have to say. Carry on. Never apologize this spring. That is true. Does he say that too? Admit nothing, deny everything, make counter accusation. If it's good enough for the C boys, it's good enough for you. I had everything. How you doing, sir? Is Piers still injured or did the budget of the show go down? I think he's in America, dude. I think that's why it looks a little odd.
All right, Brian Shapiro, we massively misunderstood the Proud Boys. They are a force for peace and harmony.
Excellent.
And here we see the pivot to the circus, to the making the hyenas fight for the crowd's entertainment, bringing in Mr. Shapiro as well. This guy's Irish, right? He's Irish. Is Shapiro an Irish name also? I originally saw it as correlated with like Poland and stuff, but is it Irish too?
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, what an imbecile to bring up trans people. We're talking about violence. What the hell does trans have to do with what we're talking about right now? That's number one.
Trans people are per capita the most violent group in the United States.
I'm not done
in
yet.
mass shootings,
I'm not done yet.
46 people.
I'm not done yet. First
They
of all,
killed
of all the
12 people
mass
this
shootings,
year.
first of all,
committing the most mass
you gotta let me
shootings of any
talk. I didn't
demographic.
interrupt you. Gotta let me talk. First of all, of all the mass shootings in this country,
Allowing, and Piers knows what he's doing. He let him interrupt the most annoying character on the panel, the most annoying sounding. Great stuff.
we're going years and years. Less than 1%, less than a fraction of them have been mass shooters. So you guys are lying. Number one. Number two, was that Antifa on January 6th?
Capita,
Mr. Proud
buddy.
Boy member? Was that Antifa that was responsible for January 6th when 140 officers were beaten? Was that Antifa?
They were beaten
those
for
people that were
shooting at
responsible?
protesters. They were beaten for
Yeah.
they were beaten for
700
flashbangs. People were
right.
going, stop.
Right.
2 patriots died that day.
Guess what?
Rosin Boyle and
Guess
Ashley
what?
Babbitt.
Okay, hold on
by
a second.
your cops,
Stand
by
back.
your Capitol Police, your affirmative action hires killed
hold on.
patriots that day.
Hold on a second. Stand back and stand by for one moment. Let me just finish this for a moment, sir. Okay,
I
it has
am.
been
I'm standing
proven
down,
in
believe
a
me.
court. Yeah. It was proven in a court of law. There were over 700 people that were convicted. They had the opportunity to defend themselves. Those were.
I want you to appreciate, by the way, that Piers is letting Gavin's. And again, I will remind you, this is like, I'm not saying it is this, but in Canada and New Zealand, Gavin McInnes is considered the founder of a terrorist organization. It's kind of like, I think Hezbollah is not considered a terrorist organization internationally, but it is by many countries. If you interviewed if Piers Morgan had on for a debate the head of Hezbollah, and I'm not saying that Gavin is doing anything wrong or anything, I did not look at the Proud Boys case. I'm just telling you, this is how unusual it is for him to have this kind of character on. Like, this is really something, because even when we think back to when Piers had on Nick Fuentes has not been accused or proven or convicted of anything like this, right? I mean, his Groypers are not a terrorist organization or anything like that. They're like a movement online, right? So, yeah, J-Boss is not, but dude, this guy looks super Irish. This is so weird. He looks mad Irish. This is an Irish looking fella.
Ask you a question. If you beat a cop on January 6th, are you a hostage and a patriot? Yes
They
or no?
didn't beat cops. Cops were shooting flashbang grenades into the crowd. They were going, stop
This
starting
guy-
a riot.
Wait,
Capitol
hold on,
Police,
hold on.
who were going
hold on.
under Nancy
You're
Pelosi's
saying cops-
instructions.
Wait, I want you to say this on Piers Morgan's show right now on the record. Are you saying cops were not beaten on January 6th? Yes or no?
I'm saying cops started a riot, and in a melee,
That's not what I
people
asked.
get hurt.
I don't care what your opinion. Were cops beaten on
shut up
January
with your
6th? Yes or no?
carefully crafted
Pierce,
questions
he won't
to make
answer the
me
question.
crap on
Pierce,
cops.
can I He won't say answer the one- question.
You don't know what happened.
Won't
You don't
answer
get
it.
outside. I'm out there.
Pierce-
I'm there. I'm on the streets. I see this violence.
I'm not
Oh,
outside.
let me bring in. All right, hang on.
Can I
Time
say
out.
one thing?
Let me bring in Joe Walsh.
I
Let me bring in Joe Walsh.
Pierce, I just want to say one thing, and this is our problem. That clip right there between.
I really think that even, I mean, we can just skip through whatever he's saying. We'll put it on mute. A few years ago, Piers Morgan, Joe Walsh, even Chris Rufo, I don't know about Mr. Shapiro here, would not have agreed to even appear on a panel with Gavin McInnes. It is so odd to see this. This was a cast out figure that is being rehabilitated. Spring says, the liberals used to say for decades, no enemy on the left. Meanwhile, the right was gatekept by William Buckley, and they instinctively separate themselves from JBS Buchanan. What's KKJ? Yeah, that is true. I will say that is true. Yeah, because Buckley was the most extreme you could get for a long time, and he saw himself as that gatekeeper. I mean, that is true. However, yeah, you're right. I mean, the left has been more open to radical ideologies and all this. I'm gonna have to think on that, Spring. Because I am more of a, like I'm trying to be like, there has to be like some fairness here or something. But you're right. They have been more condemned, the fringe figures on the right, than on the left. And if you don't believe me, we can look at who was pardoned by President Obama and President Clinton in terms of people who did actual terrorist acts in the name of Puerto Rican liberation, which is if that's your opinion, that's fine. I'm just saying that is somewhat true. Billy Ayers is still, despite being a bomb maker, I mean, he never killed anyone, right? But he still embraced a lot. So, could be true. Could be true. Yeah, I can take that into consideration.
Fight. This country was founded on fights. They're healthy.
I've got no problem, Gavin, with good political infighting. Yes, I've got no problem.
What we're doing.
Both the country was founded upon.
Okay, I agree. So, Joe, I agree with what you just said.
Go ahead, Piers.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, go on, Brian.
I was just saying, listen, I respect Joe Walsh so much, and I agree with what he just said. The only point that I was trying to make to Gavin is that there's violence in all different places, right? But if you're going to tell us that cops weren't beaten on January 6th, and some people, not all, not even the majority, but some people committed some very violent acts and they were convicted in a court of law, and Gavin can't just admit that some of those
Michael
people
Bird
are not
convicted
hostages.
for killing Ashley Babbitt?
Hold on a second.
We have one
I'm not
riot
talking
every
about
100
that.
years. You have a riot a year for 100 years, and we have to keep hearing
Gavin.
about January 6th, January 6th. Oh,
I know
no,
you don't want
that
Gavin,
riot that
Gavin,
ended the world.
I can tell you right now, Gavin, here's the difference. Black Lives Matter. Let's talk about that for a moment because I know you love talking about that. Anybody who
Marxist
beat anybody
scam,
on January...
killed 25
hold on, Gavin.
people.
Gavin, let me finish. Anybody during a Black...
I mean, could Piers have placed a more uncharismatic figure to take, and Gavin McInnes, despite everything, is a very charismatic guy. I mean, there's a reason he fucking founded Vice. He's a charismatic guy. So it's really something, man. By the way, why don't we do this? Let me block this guy. I've never blocked anyone before, but now that I understand what this is, let me put this not timeout. Can you block people on YouTube? Hide this hide user on this channel. We're gonna hide this fella over here. I wish we had more left wingers here tonight, man. More like Ephra. I think Ephra's kind of a centrist, but Mr. Elu and all that to really get a left perspective too. But yeah, I know we're here tonight. I guess tonight's a right wing night. So let's continue here. Oh.
Behavior with a fine-tooth comb.
So
and we
quick
have
point
to
I want to make,
nail to
Gavin.
the cross for January 6th. Yet you guys
Gavin.
get away with an assassination
Gavin.
attempt from 2 days ago.
All right, hold on.
Paul
Okay, so
Allen's
Gavin, quick
manifesto sounded like your show. You guys are in bed
Quick
with
point
your
I wanna
extremists. We eschew ours.
No, you're not. Gavin, quick point
No,
I
I'm
just want to
not.
make
Oh,
to
yeah.
the panel.
I will say, and this is to get Michael Tracy a little bit here, who I like a lot. Gavin McInnes brings up a good point, which is that the schizo dealers, but I wouldn't just put it on the left. I'd put it on the right too, with their insistence that everyone in office is a PDF file, that everyone in office is committing crimes against children, which I've seen a lot on both the left and the right. I mean, Tucker Carlson obviously flirts with this. This is going to result in stuff like this, man. Those are, I think in the common law, it's called fighting words in some ways. To say this kind of stuff, this is why on this channel we deconstruct. We are a deconstructionist channel, because think about what that does to the normie. It's not good for them, man. It's not good to hear that kind of. CCTV says, you're like Mexican. You have to be left. I'm not Mexican, sir. I'm not. I have nothing to do with those Mexicans. I don't mind that one as much as being called, like that guy said I was Argentinian, and I was like, excuse me, what? Like those pasta eating, tea drinking out of a coconut, mispronouncing monkeys to the east of my parents' country, Chile. I am nothing like those people. And everything says, again, Alex Jones was way ahead of his time. He was, dude. It's really odd to see the normalization. Everyone is Q now. Q1, where we go one, we go all, save the children. It's all there now. It's all there. It's all the mainstream thing. And what do you think that does? You think that's good? I mean, didn't Alex Jones, I actually don't recall, but I'm sure this kind of stuff has inspired violence in the past. Like this kind of radical talk which is obviously in this world, words mean a lot.
I love synagogue shootings. I'm totally down with that.
Gavin, just be quiet for 20 seconds. I just want to make a quick point here. So, guys, this is what Joe was just talking about. Joe, I don't speak for you, but I'm calling out all violence, whether it be Black Lives Matters or January 6th. Gavin, once again, called, no, you're not. You just called everybody patriots on January 6th, you idiot. That's what you just said.
Yeah,
you just called all the people, some of them.
Pick a fight.
Well, you're a
Don't
moron,
pick a
then.
fight with me.
You're an idiot. All right. Well, good luck at your Klan rally tonight, Mr. Grand Wizard.
Perfect.
I actually think,
so
let me jump in there.
That is
let me
so
jump,
perfect.
Let me jump in here.
Rally. Perfect.
I don't understand. Surely the intellectually honest, let me come back to Chris Rufo. The intellectually honest position on this is surely that you should be able to condemn whatever party you will have an allegiance to, whatever, you should be able to condemn unreservedly all violence against police on January 6th and all violence against police or civilians or stores or whatever during any of the BLM riots. To me, that is an intellectually honest position. The moment you start saying, well, that side were terrible, when they rioted, it was acceptable. When they did it, it's unacceptable. The moment you start doing that, you're being intellectually, to me, dishonest. Chris?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look, I agree. I said it on the day of, and I continue to believe it. People who went to the Capitol on January 6th with the intention to riot, to destroy property, to fight with police were wrong. It was not something you should do. And moreover, even on the practical consequences, caused a lot of problems for those of us on the political right who want to just have good policy.
In the interest of time, we're going to skip ahead. I'm interested in hearing when Piers confronts Gavin directly and asks him about the SPLC, which, as you guys know, and Richard Spencer was right about this, my favorite liberal, when he said that this SPLC story is allowing cover for a lot of people to say that the first Trump term was completely sabotaged by the SPLC. And Richard Spencer was at Charlottesville, said, no, Charlottesville was a real thing. I mean, it wasn't some SPLC funded thing, but it's very interesting to hear about this. CCTV says, all politics are retarded. It's mostly a sport for ugly, disenfranchised people to feel important. Well, brother, they are getting better looking these days, man. That's why TMZ is in DC and not LA anymore.
This whole scandal involving the SPLC, you said the government's indictment is a huge vindication, and you say the group were creating Nazis from scratch. The SPLC was living off fake propaganda and destroying lives in the process. Now, the SPLC designated the Proud Boys as a hate group for their bigoted rhetoric targeting women, Muslims, and other groups. You say you were targeted by them and sued them in 2019. You lost a defamation suit against them. But notwithstanding all that, so you got a history with them.
It's still going.
Well, you got a history with them. It's still going. Okay, I accept that clarification. The point I would make is this. If we were talking about a report which came out which said that the FBI had been, as we know they do, had been funneling cash to members of drug cartels, mafia, whatever it may be, with a view to getting informers who would give information leading to mass arrests of these people and incarceration, I presume you wouldn't have had a problem with that. So when I see the defense has been put up by them, which is, this money was going to these groups, to informers, so that we could catch the real bad guys and bring them to justice. Is that not a reasonable argument if you think about FBI and so on?
Catch the real bad guys and bring them to justice? What are you, 8 years old? Are you playing cowboys and Indians? The SPLC was creating Nazis from scratch. They weren't garnering information. I'll prove it to you right now. Go to the SPL site. What are the scoops they're getting? What is this? They're going to rob a bank on Friday. There was no unique information at the SPL site. It was all just, this is the group, this is what they do, all Googleable. They weren't paying them for info. They weren't paying them to stop crimes. They weren't paying for inside tips. They were paying them to exist. They weren't paid for information. They were paid for agitation. And they did it. The SPLC makes money on photographs of Charlottesville with a tiki torch. They raised $30 million from that photograph. And it's just like this right-wing violence, left-wing violence thing. You look up a bunch of deranged Nazis with Hispanic names, by the way, and you go, that's your side. This is our side. No, that's not our side. We're not Nazis. We don't want blacks to die. We don't deny the Holocaust. Those are lunatics. Your guys are your friends. Cole Allen is your pal. The Zizians, they have the same politics as you. You're in...
Zizians are a pretty interesting group, man. I don't like what they do, but there is an interesting political group. If you guys haven't seen them, Zizians are like some weirdos, man.
Bed with your radicals. Our radicals, we don't even know them. They're freaks. And the SPLC and the ADL...
And notice how Piers isn't throwing in, like a...
hang on.
None of that. No.
Hang on.
He is allowing Gavin McInnes to distance. I wonder if this is an appeal, because I'm not going to be total conspiratard here, okay? But does Piers work for the MI6? Is this an appeal to make things... Because what is the difference between Piers Morgan doing this and him advocating for Gavin McInnes to be allowed a travel visa to go to England? He was not this cozy with Valentina Gomez, who he just wanted to humiliate on his show. And the Five Eyes, New Zealand, Australia, the United States, England, and Canada. Sure that they influence each other. Is this an appeal to uncancel, to completely rehabilitate this fella? And what would that mean? Because I'm not hearing anything new from Gavin. The same thing that I heard from him in 2018. Everyone seems to have evolved, like that Jimmy Dore, he's changed. I'm sure Sam Cedar has changed. Zahn Piker has changed. But Gavin McInnes is like, it's kind of like watching like a resist protester or something. He's saying the same stuff he was saying almost 10 years ago at this point now.
Has spent hundreds of millions of dollars amalgamating us with our radicals, which is a total myth. Meanwhile, you guys warmly embrace your radicals. That is the difference. You're the ones saying, my relatives can't be with me on Thanksgiving because they support Trump. We're the ones going, you're a crazy...
No interruptions, no nothing. J Boss says, when we listen to him respond, those are good questions regarding Piers' motives, but I don't know the answer. Dude, we're watching this together because I'm very confused as to why this is happening. It's a very, very odd thing.
But some of the things you've said. You said you don't regret any of the comments you've made, but you told the New York Times in 2002, I love being white. I think it's something to be proud of. Fine. I don't want our culture diluted. We need to...
Did you see Piers even said it's fine? A few years ago saying that, Piers would have been very angry at it. You can't say that. That's not allowed. But now, even that comment is... Because those were the reasons that Gavin McInnes was pushed to the fringes at first, too.
Close the borders now and let everyone assimilate to a Western, white, English-speaking way of life. You said that most women would be happier at home. You previously dressed as a Nazi skinhead at a press interview. You've used the words retarded and faggots. You've said on violence, can you call for violence generally? Because I am. Fighting solves everything. We need more violence from the Trump people. Trump supporters choke a mother.
And what's incredibly odd is that Piers is buddies with Tucker Carlson, who says very similar things. So, what? Yeah, you're like kind of giving Gavin a total... Where the viewer, the consistent Piers viewer, is going to go, wait, but you did an interview with Tucker Carlson where he was saying very similar things. And Tucker Carlson, one of his most viral moments when he was on Fox News, where he said violence works. This is renormalizing Gavin McInnes.
Fucker. I mean, how does any of that, taken in totality, and that's just a fragment of what you've said on record.
This is SPLC. This is right in the SPLC book.
Well, hang on, Gavin.
You go back
Gavin.
20 years,
no, Gavin,
cherry-picking these quotes, devoid of context.
Gavin.
I'm out here. I'm in the South Bronx right now. I fought a guy this morning at the gym. This is what we do.
Allow me to ask you a question about your comments, which is simply at the start of when I first introduced you. I said my understanding was that you now regretted things that you said, and you vehemently said, no, I don't. I've just read to you a number of your positions on things and comments, which many people would find pretty reprehensible. So I'm just thinking in the context of your initial vehement denial that you regret anything, do you regret any of the incendiary
What kind of discussion is this, Piers? You bring up 13 quotes that go back to 2004, and you go defend.
And here's the meat of it, right? This is the one-on-one with Gavin. This is the struggle session. And we have to see how he copes. We have to see if he's ready to go back into the mainstream.
Do you sound like a violent person to me? That's what the SPLC does. Do you want to get specific? Yes, I said that women would be happier at home. They would. Every time I've called for violence, it's in the context of Antifa beating the crap out of us. In 2015 and 2016, they were jumping us on the streets. They vandalized my home. They vandalized my car. They spit in your face. I got pepper sprayed at NYU. I'm constantly getting jumped, and I'm saying, fight back. I mean, it got so bad that Joe Walsh back then switched from right to left to save himself. It was a war zone. And yeah, I said, fight back. And fighting solves everything, by the way, is at every boxing gym in the country. It's a working class slogan, you puffs.
Okay.
You upper middle class palms.
Look, I remember those days in 2015, 2016, here in the Pacific Northwest. You'd have Antifa on one side, the Proud Boys on the other. And in a way, it was the kind of mutual combat. They would go to the same place. They would fist fight.
And here we have moderation of even the most violent incidents.
Had a mutual interest in fighting. And that really can't be compared to a kind of unprovoked and
by Chris Rufo, who's of the Manhattan Institute. This is an institutionalist, someone that you would expect to not even want to be near this. But now, even this is some sort of defense.
Anyone, I wish that the Proud Boys and Antifa would stay home. I don't think it's really healthy. But at the same time, I think what we're talking about now, between 2020 and now 2026, we're talking about a new form of violence that is almost entirely one.
I hate everything says, God forbid a man for saying the gamer word. But you see how insane it sounds, given the current context, where the accusations he's throwing at Gavin McInnes, he's even saying that they're fine. Like it's fine to say some of that stuff, but he's making him answer for it. It is a puff piece in a lot of ways. All right, it's Brian Shapiro, Chris Rufo. I think that's pretty much all that really matters. We have to see the ending to see how the sign-off was in terms of with Gavin here.
Abusive to Trump to do that in an interview for 60 Minutes, and Trump understandably lost his rag. So I do think it's a two-way street. There is a double standard about the way that many on the left and the media, which is very left-skewed, I'm sorry, it is in America. I see it all the time. I've worked in it long enough to see it. And there is a double standard about the way Trump gets treated compared to anybody else. And should he temper his rhetoric? Absolutely. Should the others look at themselves and think, are we partly to blame for the mindset of a apparently genius level guy who was an award-winning teacher, no sign of any violence, suddenly deciding to get on a train from California to Washington to plan a massacre at the White House? How has that happened? I don't know the answer, but I do know the language that he repeated in that manifesto was very similar to a lot of the bullshit language I hear about Trump all the time from the left. And that has to change too. So like I say, there are issues on all sides here. I've got to leave it there, guys. I'm sorry, we've run out of time. It was a really good debate, a really interesting debate, and I appreciate it.
Everybody.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Piers.
I think he rehabbed him. No condemnation. It's great to watch with the contrast in our minds of how he signed off with Valentina Gomez. You're never coming back. You're a racist. I hate you. Very good debate. Thank you, gentlemen. What is Piers doing here? I don't get it. So I don't have the answers for you guys tonight, but this is really odd. And before we go, I just wanted to show you, we won't watch any of it, actually. He had on Maria Corina Machado on Piers Morgan, too, which is odd. This is the presumptive president of Venezuela that is a thorn in the side of President Trump, because Delcy Rodriguez he used the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which she attended, if I'm not mistaken, as the excuse to have her on. But President Trump would prefer Corina Machado goes away because he is satisfied with the current political situation in Venezuela. She was a useful tool at a time. And I don't understand why Piers would come in here to interrupt the American foreign policy objectives of President Trump, but we do know he's on the outs with Trump. The other possibility, I'll show you this here, is that she is just grifting now, because it's possible. It has happened a lot in Venezuelan politics.
And lacked respect within Venezuela, and that's why he was backing Maduro's former vice president. What is your response to that charge that maybe you're too nice?
Well, let's have the Venezuelan people speak about it and make their own decision. Let's have free and fair elections where anybody that wants to run has the chance to do it, that everyone that has the right to vote is allowed to do it, and then the Venezuelan people will decide what the future they want for themselves and their families. And that's going to happen, Piers. That is going to happen. Nothing will stop us, and we will never give up. Venezuela will be free.
There's almost a Churchillian tone to your voice there, Maria Machado. Your new book, The Freedom Manifesto, is out now.
And so we see that, but Piers's endorsement, as well as letting her slightly talk some shit on Trump, say, hey, why don't we just let our people decide, as opposed to Trump's current policy, is something of note, man. It's very, very odd. It's very odd. Weirdest episode of Piers I've seen in my life. Recommend you watch the full thing. As usual, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you again to Jen for becoming a higher tier member. I have to upload everything onto YouTube now. I will do that tonight. I had stopped because I was like, no one's joining the higher tier membership, so who cares? Like, the King Leo Movie Club can just stay on Patreon. But now that we have someone on YouTube, that's pretty cool. So, and you know what? Let me add Jen here just for already. Let me add her here. Let me do this. In the Chiron, she's going to be yellow now. Where is Where is that? Chat. Here we go. Okay, so this is just Boomer Tech here for anyone that wants to hang out. All right. Anyone that wants to hang out, have a beautiful time. What do you guys think of the, if anyone's still here, what do you guys think of the new setup? Do you guys like the glitch? Is it too much? Is it annoying? Is it fine? Is it okay? I think I thought it was going to be annoying, but I don't really find it as annoying. No, this isn't it. Where is it? The Chiron. Here we go. Here we go. Properties. All right. Got it. Yeah, so what do you guys think of the new setup? Anything that we should add? I always like to crowdsource information for anyone that has anything. All right, so we need to add Jen. This is such... I love this vibe coding, man. It's so easy to do. All right, there we go. We got that. Then we need to take her name here. Control X, Control V. Remove this one down here. We need to save. Perfect. Save. And then we just need to refresh the Chiron. And let's see if Jen is there. Thank you, J Boss. We are going for the 90s aesthetic. Let's see there. We have Robert. And by the way, to get the crowns, everyone, you know, if you support financially in any way, you will get a name on the Chiron. But if you become a member on Patreon or on YouTube, I miss Ephra. Where's Ephra at? How you doing? And we got Robert, of course, Eves, Ringo, Audio Vibes, Ephra, and Jen. There's Jen. You will get on here as well. So on the golds. And if not, it's fine. You can just become a diamond member as well. There's a diamond member. You know, you just won't have that cool little yellow lettering. All you have to do is join on Patreon. It's literally $5 a month. Very, very cheap. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I hope we learned something. Did we learn anything? Did we learn anything at all? I need to, dude, that was so weird. I thought we had, especially the first guy, I thought was interesting. Dude, we have left wingers in here. We have right wingers. We have everything. Like, where, how is this a racist stream? We're pretty chill here. I want to get this for, if that ever happens again, I'm going to add this to the soundboard. I don't know if anyone here, I think Ephra and J Boss may be fans of this movie. This is a great one, bro. Classic. Absolute classic here. Absolutely a classic movie. I don't want to name it. I just want to show you. I just look at the transcript here. Where is it? Where is it? Where? Where is it? Here we go. Here we go. I need to get this. This is the best here. This is how are you doing, Street Cat Munchies? Appreciate you joining us. Oh, Street Cat Munchies has to be. You're a member too. All right. Oh, I think that's a gifted membership. If you join us, I need to get this here, man. This is a great fucking movie, man.
Nobody is talking about, and you know what it is.
No one has the right to accuse me of racism.
No one has the right to accuse me of racism.
I need to have that for if I get attacked, I'm just gonna play that.
No one has the right to accuse me of racism.
No one has the right to accuse me of racism.
And it's perfect because Andy Garcia, Miami guy, dude. If you're a math guy, you gotta love this. This is a great one. Stand and deliver. So no one has the right to accuse me of racism. I'm not allowed to pick on Spanish people. I am Hispanic. They stole all my gold. I get to do that. They also gave us some nice stuff, but they stole the gold. My God. My God. All right, everyone. I will see you guys tomorrow. I hope we learned something. I'm going to add it then. I'm going to add this one. This is a good one. One more time. I love this movie. One of the best. I also wanted to add this part here. Dude, Stand and Deliver. Dude, let me put you on, dude. This is a great movie. It's based on a real story. This Bolivian math teacher in Los Angeles got like a bunch of Mexican American students to pass the AP calculus exam. He like completely revamped the math department because they had kind of given up on them. They were like, these spics will never amount to anything. You know, I've heard that before, whatever. And he was like, no, we are a capable people. We are very capable. And he got them to pass, dude. Like he had the highest AP calculus passing rate of all time. He got them all to learn math. The movie exaggerates it like in a summer, but over the course of a few years, he was able to get a bunch of like young Mexicans to get really good at calculus.
Our conversation is over.
There's something going on here that nobody is talking about.
I want to add that one too.
And you know what it is.
No one has the right to accuse me of racism.
No one has the right to accuse me of racism.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right, everyone. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you, Street Cat, for coming in later. Hope some of the people stayed around here that were cool. All right, guys. I will see you guys tomorrow. Hope you had a great night. Thank you again, Jen, for joining.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye. 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 Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.